Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining Arctic IT's webinar, What is the Next ERP Evolution? We are excited to have our very own Senior Technical Account Executive, Matt Borkowski, presenting for us today. Also joining us to help address any questions you may have is Richard Parkinson, Arctic IT's Dynamics 365 Solution Architect. So with that, let us welcome Matt and Richard.
Hello, thank you for joining us today, and I'm excited for the presentation. What is the next ERP evolution? You hear a lot about new systems and cloud-based solutions and all this digital transformation from Microsoft and other technology providers over the years, and more now as things are going forward. And our hope today is to shed some light, give you some real insights into what that means beyond just marketing buzzwords, and really dive into that. So for those of you that aren't current customers of Arctic IT or don't know who we are, just wanted to give a quick intro to us. As Arctic IT, our goal is to simplify technology. That's a mission statement, plain and simple, and we do that over a quick 3-step process. Arcticare is what we do to help solidify, support, and secure your IT infrastructure. And our step 2 is what we call Arctic Ascend, and that's our ERP solution, our support of applications and other services like that, similar to a lot of the GP support that we provide to many of you all today. And then tribal platforms. As an Alaska Native owned company, we do have some specific technology that we develop for other tribally owned entities like ourselves. We are an Alaskan Native Corporation subsidiary for Doyon Alaska Native Corporations. For those of you that are familiar with the Alaska Native Corporation infrastructure up in Alaska, and we have operations both in Alaska and nationally. We have customers from Barrow, Alaska down to Miami, Florida, and everywhere in between. We are a Microsoft Gold partner and have been for a large number of years, and we've been in the accounting and ERP technology space for nearly 20 years now. And a number of you have been customers of us for almost that long, so we thank you for loyalty over that time. And really, our business has been built on Dynamics GP. We've broadened well beyond that to technology overall, but that really is what started our business a number of years ago. So for today, our agenda will be to cover the GP roadmap, talk about Dynamics 365, what it is, and give you an introduction to that, other options that are out there that you might be hearing some things about right now, and then we'll actually dive into the application. Don't worry, I'm not just going to be showing you PowerPoint slides all day. We will be diving into the system itself to give you a live demonstration of that. Talk about current promotions that Microsoft's offering right now and next steps, and hopefully some time for Q&A. So Dynamics GP. This is the latest Dynamics GP roadmap that Microsoft published at the end of March. These are the supported versions of GP right now. GP 2015 forward. GP 2013 is no longer supported by Microsoft, but all versions forward have been. And up through right now, what has been released is GP 2018. Later this year, they'll be releasing the next version, which is most likely going to be called GP 2018 R2. And then at some point next year, they'll likely be releasing what we expect to be called GP 2020. Probably near the end of 2019. And these are the various features that they've been adding or planning to add. As you can see, still for this fall, things aren't, there aren't any specific items that they'll be adding, but we look forward to seeing more of that soon. Now, there's been a lot of information going around, blog posts and other things, basically saying GP is dead. And we want to shed some truth to that today, that is not the case. GP is still a solid and very functional application. Microsoft said that GP 2016, that they're going to support that through 2021, and GP 2018 will be supported through 2023. And we expect that when the next version of GP released, that will go out to 2025 and so on. But what's next? It's one thing to say it's supported, but really what's going on from there? And that's where some of the realities start to hit home, that the roadmap for GP has had very little change in the last year. What we saw just a slide ago, that was almost exactly the same a year ago, with just a little bit more specifics on on what's going to be included later this year. They're not saying anything about ongoing development after 2019 yet. While we expect that will be there, it's definitely some hush-hush in that regard. And one of the most concerning things to us is that Microsoft is no longer paying their own salespeople commissions for selling GP. Microsoft is telling people, even on their ERP sales team, direct Microsoft employees, to focus on other solutions. And they're leaving it up to partners like us to continue sales of GP going forward. And that alone lets us know that Microsoft does not see this as the way forward for ERP in the Microsoft space. And GP is written on its base layer code is called Dexterity. Dexterity is an old code base. It is very difficult to modernize. You really can't take it to a true cloud platform. They've released some web clients, which has some functionality, but it's limited functionality. And so with that, Microsoft has said, look, we are not preparing GP for the cloud, and they're leaving that up to other people. So there are other companies that are offering third-party cloud options for GP, and some of those have worked very well. And we'll continue to help support folks on those. But Microsoft has made it pretty clear that the path forward, especially for new users, is likely not going to be GP. And part of that, for both GP and other older platforms, is you typically run into these 5 things with accounting systems. You've got siloed systems, meaning that you've got your accounting system kind of on its own. Maybe you have a CRM system, your email, your other operational data or billing systems that you might have. These are all kind of segregated and on their own, which leads to a lot of duplicate data, where you're having to enter data in multiple systems. Manual processes, where maybe you get an email with a PO attached to it from a vendor, and you want to send that off for approval. So now you have to take that PO, enter it into another solution, and then send it off to approval. Or maybe even just print it and walk it around, and then once it's approved, type all that information in and move forward. You have a lot of very manual processes. Insufficient reporting, because again, all these systems are kind of on their own and you can only report on information from one system at a time. And then security issues. Believe it or not, most people think that by keeping their information out of the cloud, but not utilizing cloud solutions, that their data is more secure. But as we're seeing time and time again with ransomware attacks, that people, cyber attacks will come in through emails or other areas that aren't through some sort of internet-related connection, and then with that cyber attack, they're able to encrypt your entire network, including your accounting systems, and then demand ransom in order to get that information back. And if you don't have solid strategies in that regard, then more and more people are struggling with that. And hence, Microsoft's overall cloud strategy centers around Dynamics 365. So what is Dynamics 365? I've had some people ask me, can you tell me about GP 365 or Microsoft 365? There's been a lot of marketing out there, but a lot of people really don't know necessarily what that is. So Dynamics 365 is more than an accounting system. It is an entire platform, a cloud platform from Microsoft, and their exact words is it unifies CRM and ERP capabilities to break down data silos with Dynamics 365, which is a modern, intelligent cloud applications that help move your business forward. And they'll talk about realizing real digital transformation. And all that sounds good, but what does that really mean? And that comes down to, really, it's a collection of applications. A collection of applications all on the same platform. So that's sales and service, like a CRM type application, finance and operations, your accounting and ERP technology. Then there's talent, which utilizes LinkedIn, which Microsoft owns now in their talent platform for recruiting, onboarding, that sort of thing. And then marketing solutions. And all those kind of rolled into Dynamics 365. They have what's called a common data model, which means that they're not just segregated applications. While they are multiple applications, they have a foundational layer that's the same, allowing you to have shared records between the systems, which takes integration to a new level. It's not just integrated solutions, they are actually on common and share common data between the two. And they're all fully embedded and implemented with Dynamics 365, Office 365, which is the online Microsoft Exchange and email application, as well as Power BI, which is the dashboarding solution, which we'll see later today. And that's all on the secure Microsoft Azure cloud. Now, I highlighted intelligent cloud applications because the one thing that people really aren't necessarily expecting yet is that there really is embedded artificial intelligence into these applications. It's not just a matter of, okay, it's a new shiny version of an ERP solution. Being on a Microsoft cloud solution gives you true data analytics and artificial intelligence and other sort of data crunching that you can't get with an on-premise solution. Now going specifically into the ERP, the accounting side of Dynamics 365, there are two versions of ERP on Dynamics 365. One is called Finance and Operations. It used to be called Finance and Operations Enterprise, so you might hear that term enterprise sometimes with Dynamics 365. And this really is an enterprise level ERP. It's not completely brand new. It's based off of the Dynamics AX product line, which has been completely revamped, modernized, and made available through a true cloud application. But it is designed really for a 50+ user environment with complex operations. Microsoft's even said there's a minimum of 20 users for that. And it is a full-featured multi-entity, supply chain, manufacturing, HR, and payroll. It is made for large operations with multiple companies with very complex differences between the companies. And it is a great enterprise level solution. The SMB, the small and medium business offering for Dynamics 365 is called Business Central. And again, similar to finance and operations, it's not completely brand new, meaning that it is a brand new version, completely modernized and available for the cloud with lots of great new features. But the core of it is based on the Dynamics NAV platform. So while there are other cloud accounting applications coming available all the time, most of those are designed from scratch, where you have a very limited functionality set, because Microsoft was able to take the power of their existing applications, really modernize those, update those, and add new functions and features to it. There really is a leg up with Dynamics 365 versus other cloud-based applications because there was such a rich existing functionality set. Business Central, while you can still definitely do multi-entity, multi-currency, supply chain, and manufacturing things, it is definitely designed for a smaller company. And most companies that use GP would probably be a better fit for Business Central, or we call BC, than finance and operations. It's got optimized financials, inventory distributions, and analytics, but it does not have HR and payroll in it. So it does require a third party or another solution for processing HR and payroll. But we're currently moving folks from Dynamics GP to both finance and operations and Business Central. All right. Because Business Central is more right-sized for most Dynamics GP customers, a lot of the rest of the presentation will be focused on Business Central. Business Central has these various areas of functionality inside of it. Financial management, obviously the core function is accounting. But beyond the accounting functions, you've got project management, operations, which your product planning and manufacturing, if you're in that area, deep reporting and analytics, supply chain management, so you can completely manage your inventory, warehouse, the movement of all that, pick, pack, and ship if you're selling goods. It is very rich supply chain management, as well as sales and service embedded with a true Microsoft CRM, or integrated, excuse me. And the goal really of Business Central is to connect your business. So you don't have email, sales, your accounting, inventory, all these separated. It's to bring the various departments together on one platform to allow you to make smarter decisions, get better reporting for both operational and financial data. And it's easy to start and grow, meaning you could start with one company, just a handful of users based upon the subscription models, and then just add Add more companies when you're ready, or as you expand and grow. It's very easy to adapt and grow, unlike implementing a larger on-premise solution. Now, because I know at this point, most of you are probably already wondering, well, what does this cost? And so to keep that from being in the back of your mind, I want to get some of the pricing, answer some of the Dynamics 365 pricing questions right up front. So there are 3 levels of users for Business Central. There's a team member, which is basically a non-financial user. They can run reports, they can read and approve transactions, they can utilize a lot of that data and move transactions through, but they're not going to typically be part of the finance team. Essentials, those would be your true finance users, your accountants that are processing transactions, managing the system, doing all that. And then premium would be for folks that need to do service and manufacturing. So not a lot of our customers would utilize that. Now, you see 2 prices here. And the reason for that is for a brand new Microsoft Dynamics environment right now, you would pay the $8, and these are monthly costs, $8 for a team member user and $70 for an accounting or essentials user. But Microsoft is offering promotions right now for those that are on other Microsoft Dynamics solutions. Maybe that's Dynamics SL, NAV, GP, those things, that for the next couple of years, they're offering these reduced rates. And they've actually gone down a little bit more. They're $42 and I think $4 for the team member users and the essentials users. Now, if you're doing some of that math in your head right now, let's say I've got 10 finance users, so that's $700 a month times 12. That's a little bit more than I'm paying for my annual renewals right now. How does that make sense? That's really where you have to look at the total cost of ownership of an ERP. Now, a study was done, and this was based out of Canada, where they had some slightly different spelling, so I apologize for some of that here. But the on-premise solution, the study showed that really of the total cost of ownership, the software licensing, so your annual renewals, your initial purchase, only counted for about 9% of the total cost, because you still have to buy your servers. You have to, your IT folks, they have to be trained. They have to be maintaining the service in the background. You have to get ongoing training and maintenance, applying patches, all that stuff. Rewriting customizations and integrations every time you upgrade, doing the upgrades, getting new hardware, new servers, and just the ongoing burden of your IT staff. Versus on the cloud side, that subscription, really your licensing cost really accounts for almost 70% of the total cost. You still have the implementation, ongoing training, and some customizations, but you don't have to buy more servers. You don't have to apply patches and rewrite customizations and integrations or anything like that. Everything is taken care of, really on the technology side by that subscription. So again, no server licensing, no server hardware. You're always up to date. When updates come out, they're applied. You don't have to wait for an upgrade process. It's more secure than most folks can afford to have their on-premise solutions. They secure access from anywhere. It's always on. You don't have to worry about downtime for Arctic IT to apply the latest patch or the year-end fix, all that kind of stuff. And it has true AI and machine learning behind it. So that cost, that licensing cost, you have to factor in the total cost of ownership. And utilizing cloud services, your system is going to perform faster, better, and be more reliable than you could ever afford to have on premise. Where this says 2 tenants every minute. That means that as new companies start up utilizing Business Central, that it takes about 30 seconds for them to create a new environment. When they do have updates and upgrades, it takes just 30 seconds per customer to apply that. It's auto healing and uptime because of the complexity and the large scale and functionality of Microsoft's cloud, that they're able to predict any potential issues, keep things running so that you got almost 100% uptime. The system is almost never down, and if it is, you're known ahead of time, and it's after hours, in the middle of the morning, where it's really not going to, in the middle of the night, where it's not going to impact anything. And again, there's fully compliant across multiple standards in regards to security that, again, we just can't those of us running our own businesses, we just can't afford that level of security inside our environment. Now, beyond that, full mobile capabilities, where you don't just have an app that allows you to do one or two things. We'll see this during our demonstration, but a full app that allows you to process transactions, run reports, see things right in on the go. So you can take your business anywhere. You can process, approve, view, and report your transactions no matter where you go, all securely. By combining information from multiple systems, into the Power BI dashboarding tool, as well as the artificial intelligence for forecasting and predictive analytics for how much to buy and that sort of thing, you can really make sure that your employees makes it easy for them to find the information that they need to make the right decisions. Now, I keep mentioning the cloud, and I want to take a step back and say that while Dynamics 365 is a cloud-first strategy, and the greatest value you would ever realize with utilizing this would be utilizing the cloud platform, there are on-premise versions available. So as of right now, Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is available both on-premise and in the cloud. Business Central currently is only available on the cloud, but most of those updates and everything are available as Dynamics NAV on-premise. But this fall, Microsoft will have the Dynamics 365 Business Central also available on-premise. So for those that they have really valid reasons to not move to the cloud, you can still take advantage of a lot of that great functionality, but have it on-premise. But Dynamics 365 is more than just the functionality of an individual application. It extends that to utilize the power of the Microsoft technology space in general. So Office 365, it's not just integrated, it's interfaced, and you'll see what I mean in a little bit. But while a lot of accounting systems allow you to export to Excel, or maybe import from a CSV file, or maybe even send an email, Office 365 and just Microsoft Office in general, especially Outlook and those things, are truly embedded into the application. Excel, Outlook, Word are part of the application. It's not just a way to export and import data. Power BI, which is the dashboarding tool, is embedded right in the system. So you can have great dashboards that combine data from both your financial systems and other operational systems, but see that right inside of Business Central. You don't have to switch applications or log into a separate website or anything like that. It's all embedded right there. And then Microsoft Flow, Microsoft Power Apps, the Microsoft App Store, these are all ways of expanding your system, giving you additional functionality and additional workflows, by utilizing these new Microsoft Cloud features that are not just Business Central related, meaning that Microsoft Flow can create workflows that combine data from Outlook and SharePoint, and Business Central and your CRM system. It brings everything together so your workflows aren't just one application central. They can involve transactions and information flowing through various applications, not just inside of your accounting system. No one else can really do that right now. Power Apps and the App Store are ways of creating apps to extend Business Central. And it's not just, you're not just going out to maybe buying apps that are out there. While there are some functions for that, you can easily create just in the editor. You do not have to be a developer to add additional fields or to do some other things inside these Power Apps to give you functionality that isn't available right out of the box. And existing ISVs. For those that have been using GP for a long time, you might be using things like QuickTake, PaperSave, BI 360, and a number of other existing ISVs that will continue to work with Business Central. So if you've got other applications that interface with GP that you really like and you wouldn't want to lose that history, well, a lot of those have Business Central functions as well. So you can continue to use those. And here's what that App Store looks like, just a high-level view where right inside of Business Central, you can look at ways and other things that are available to maybe expand some of the functionality in Dynamics 365. You don't have to always call Arctic IT. or your partners and look for things that are available out there. A lot of them are published and available for you to look at. Take a look at demos and things right there. Allow you to self-serve and to have better ownership over your system. Same thing with Power BI. While it is the Power BI dashboarding and reporting tool, can bring data in from all kinds of sources for free, right? With your Business Central subscription, you got all these pre-built dashboards and reports that you can load as apps inside of Power BI that connect right to your system. So within a matter of minutes, you've got great dashboards that are pulling in your finance information, they're pulling in inventory, vendor information right away with just a few clicks of a button. And the Outlook app, which we'll see in just a little bit, allows you to not only send emails and for approvals or POs or that sort of thing, but it truly allows you to use Business Central inside of Outlook. So you're not shifting between systems all the time, and it can automate a lot of those processes that are really manual and require duplicate data entry right now. Now, while we've been talking about Dynamics 365 as a great cloud ERP solution, there are a number of others that are out there. They're coming available pretty quickly. And the thing is that a lot of those that first come out have great first impressions. And we've seen this ourselves where you might get a demo or see some videos out there and they have a great dashboard when you log in. Things look really pretty. They've got nice smiley faces if you have net income for the month, or they give you a thumbs down if you're over budget and things that look neat. But when you go beyond just how the initial look and feel is, you got to start asking, what is the foundation? Truly, what is the functionality behind that? And that's when things start to crumble. Oftentimes, when you look at the platforms, they're their own solution, and they've got no true ways of extending that platform. Maybe they have some integration options, but again, the accounting systems still end up being on their own silos, kind of out by themselves, and they aren't part of a much broader, more functional foundation. Office productivity with Outlook. Oftentimes you can import from a CSV or maybe export to Excel or send an email or two, but you can't do more than that. The security of these, a lot of them are running their own data centers or are having to utilize other folks where they don't have control over that data center, where Microsoft's able to control all those and have a lot riding on it. Then you look at just the chart of accounts. Do they force you to use their dimensions or segments versus being able to create your own customized chart of accounts? Can you bring in data from other data sources, or can you really do much with the dashboards other than just some of the cool looking stuff that you see when you first log in? But then when you try to do more with it, it leaves you wanting. And that a couple of years ago, as we started seeing kind of the writing on the wall with the future of GP, at Arctic IT, we took a strategic initiative to really explore a non-Microsoft alternative. We recognize that we've drank a lot of Microsoft Kool-Aid over the years, and that if we're truly going to be recommending the best solutions to our customers, we need to have a broader view of that. So we went out, took a look at the cloud options that were out there, and the one that kept coming to the top is a solution known as Intact. It's now called Sage Intact. Sage bought it, and we pursued it heavily. We became partners. I myself became fully certified in implementing Intact. Some of you might have seen demos and webinars that I did about Intact. We were selling it. There was a lot to like about it, but because there really wasn't a good alternative. But for a lot of our GP customers, Intact was just too expensive. There were some cool things. We really liked some of the dashboarding function stuff it had, but we round into that foundational layer again, or the issues of the foundation, where you couldn't do much else with it. You were locked into how they told you to do things, and beyond the dashboards, they were lacking a full foundation, and it costs a lot of money. So when Dynamics 365 finally became fully fledged this past year, and as we started looking at the cost of it and the functionality available, we just told ourselves that we couldn't recommend Intact any longer. We just thought that for the cost value, it just isn't there, and we didn't feel right about recommending that anymore. So we are ending our partnership with Intact because we do not see that as really being the best solution for our customers. And a big piece of that came out when we truly did a cost benefit analysis, and that's what you see right here. Here we've got the full finance and operations, and then the Business Central of Dynamics 365. See that the full user price is $190 a month for finance and operations, and for Business Central it's $70. Now for Intact it's $210. But pretty much everything else is included with your subscriptions. Microsoft isn't going to charge you extra for various things. Where for Intact, if you have more than one company, for every new company you add, it's extra money. If you want fixed assets, it's extra money. Intact inventory, project cost. If you want to use dimensions other than the ones that they give you to start with, it costs extra money. Office integration is very minimal. Dashboards look cool, but it's just native to Intact. You can't do anything else with it with other solutions. You can't make those available outside of Intact. And your mobile options are just looking at a small screen and trying to blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. And there are no on-premise options. And we really just for that cost. And there are some different user options that cost a little bit less for your non-financial users, just like with Dynamics 365 and the team users. But it just isn't something that we could rightly recommend to our customers anymore. So Arctic IT is fully on the Dynamics 365 bandwagon. We're excited about the future that Microsoft has with that. So just about to the end of the PowerPoints here, I promise. So Business Central, again, kind of circling back to that. It is the newest offering by Dynamics 365, and it became available April 2nd. There have been different versions of it over the years. It was called the Business Edition of Dynamics 365 for a while, but they fully launched a bunch of new functionality, on April 2nd, kind of rebranded that as Dynamics 365 Business Central. And it's modern, fast, secure, and adaptable. And again, it's optimized for these areas and requires a third-party HR and payroll. So with that, I'm going to switch into the demo itself. So give me a quick second here to close out of that. Bring this over. Okay, so I am now in Dynamics 365 Business Central. Now, what you can see at the top here is that I am using Google Chrome to access this. It works with Internet Explorer, Edge, Google Chrome, works with Safari as well. I mean, it is a true browser agnostic tool. And it doesn't require you to install anything on your computer. So you log in directly by just going to your website from Microsoft and then logging in. Now, utilizing the browser, one thing that's really nice is, I don't know how many times over the years I've had a question of, can I make the text bigger in GP? It's hard to zoom in. I can't see anything. But now with Business Central, it fully utilizes the functionality of the browser to blow things up so you can see things at the level that you want. You can zoom out, zoom in, and the text actually changes. A number of other cloud applications don't do that because they've locked everything into a certain screen size so they can control things a little bit better.
Matt, we had a question that came in. Somebody wanted to know, do you see Business Central ever adding the HR payroll function?
That's a good question. And while Microsoft hasn't given us a definitive yes or no, right now, because it's based on the NAV platform, Dynamics NAV has been around for a long time, and they don't have payroll into that. So while with Dynamics 365, they've added a lot of good HR functions into the talent application. We don't have any specific indication whether or not they're going to include payroll with that in the future. There are third-party options available already for it. We see a lot of people going that direction, but as of this point, no clear indication on payroll embedded inside of Business Central. Good question.
Great, thank you.
And we'll touch on that a little bit more after the demonstration. Thank you. All right, so once you log in, this is your Business Central homepage. And similar with GP or other applications, you have the ability here to personalize this, where you can get rid of the functions that you don't want. if you don't really want some of these insights in there, or you don't want some of the initial KPIs or all that, you can move these around and change them based upon your role. I'm logged in right now as the business manager. So I'm seeing that business manager role page right now, which gives you kind of general functionality throughout the system. Now that role page is not controlled to security. They're a completely separate piece, but it does give you the ability to set up roles for what people see when they first log into the homepage. Now, while I have some quick insights into the specific information that I want to see right up front as a business manager, how are we doing with our revenue this month? Where we stand with our vendor balances and our customer balances overall. All of these allow me to drill in and see the details behind it, as well as I can see our current ongoing POs. What are the status of those? And other insights here. One thing that I really like about this is the product videos. With your manuals, rather than just completely relying on printed manuals or maybe going out to YouTube or trying to find other videos about how to do things, Microsoft's embedded all of that right inside the application. So you can learn about how to set up a project, set up dimensions, posting journal entries and setting up posting groups stuff for your security, year-end closing, working with the reporting options, everything. They've got those videos embedded right inside the application, so you don't have to go searching elsewhere to find videos and documentation on how to do that. It's really, and those are updated all the time. Again, the power of the cloud, you don't have to download new stuff or install updates. It's all done for you. And just a little bit down further, I have my dashboard of information where I've got my top 5 customers right now is the one that I want to see. And here we have these Power BI reports. This is a true financials dashboard, which right now is kind of shrunk in, but I can expand that to see more information and a whole nother page to blow that up full screen. And I can drill down into that. So while I have, my top level chart of accounts things here, if I wanted to see what is my total revenue or cost or operating expenses, you can drill in to get additional information about the information that is here. See the actual accounts and the balances of those down below. And the nice thing about this is they're not just available inside of Business Central, but you can use the Power BI app or the Business Central app, or you can log into a separate dashboard altogether where those Power BI reports can be rendered for you to give access to those reports to people that don't need to have Business Central licenses. And just interactive trial balance right here. I don't have to go out and run another report to give me a trial balance. I could again see my current trial balance by category and drill in to see the actual account balances, or have my accounts marked as favorite accounts that I want to see specific GL account balances on my homepage. It gives you a lot of great functionality for customizing this based upon your favorites and what you want to see when you log in to get to your favorite stuff more quickly. And right from here, I could come up and with GP or a lot of other systems, they require maybe going into completely different areas or launching another application to see your financial reports. You can run financial reports right inside the system here. For instance, I can run an income statement and use filters to get my specific departments that I want, or different dimensions, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I could send this off to someone. I could just print it right from here or preview a financial statement without having to launch into another application. You can scroll in and drill down on these. Obviously, this one in particular is a pretty high level, but all this, just like you'd be used to with other applications, is customizable. You can change them, but you can do it all right there. You don't have to go through multiple applications to do your financial reporting. Now, another thing that you'll see right from here when I first log into the system is I have this thing called incoming documents. What an incoming document is it allows you to, utilizing the system as it is, have email addresses set up to collect invoices. So if you had like an AP@arctic-it.com or accounts payable at arctic-it.com, that sort of thing, you can set that up to receive those emails. And those can be waiting for you based upon real OCR information. So if I say new on this, I could go out, and whether it was an email that came in or one that was waiting there, I'm just going to attach this as a PDF that I have out, that someone had emailed me, let's just say, as a, excuse me, while I find desktop extras. Okay, so here's an invoice, it's called purchase invoice, that I had emailed to me. You can see it very quickly here. It's a pretty basic invoice for some chairs and stuff from First Up Consultants. Now, right from here, I don't have to use another application or anything. I can send this to OCR service, or it could have automatically gone to the OCR service based upon that email address that's used. So I don't have to use a third-party solution or anything. Now, this OCR service, depending upon the number of invoices that are processed every month, it's what they call it freemium. I think if after 100 invoices that are OCR'd, there's a little bit of a charge associated with that. But those can automatically start processing when things are emailed to the right email address, or if you manually attach them and say send to OCR service. And then I've got where I did that one ahead of time, so I wouldn't have to wait, because it can take a few minutes for the OCR process to fully come in. It tells us that it's successful, then it brings in this information for us off of the information invoice itself, the vendor that it was, the date of it, phone numbers, all that kind of stuff, the amounts, and even the lines. So then at that point, once it come in, you can click create document, and it actually creates the invoice inside the system. So you're not having to type that information in. I can see the accounts that are here, and these were based off of, this is our miscellaneous expense account that was set up for this vendor. But it shows the numbers of things that were purchased, the amounts and the totals. So all of this is available right here. I didn't have to type any of this information in. And over here, I can still see that attached document. And later, when I show you the app, you can see that you can add things and submit them into these incoming documents in OCR service right from your phone even. If you had pictures of receipts, or if you got an invoice in the mail and your scanner wasn't working, that sort of thing, you can take a picture of it and submit that right from there. So then AP could move forward with processing that transaction and moving forward. So now if I close out of my, incoming documents, back to my home page, we can go into, let's make our items. See a list of our items here. I've got some time clocks, some desks. And earlier we talked a little bit about true artificial intelligence. Now you see I've turned on forecasting. So if I'm using inventory and I'm selling inventory, it can forecast based upon my trends where it thinks sales and inventory levels will go. So if I show my sales forecast based upon previous years and how things have gone recently, it's kind of forecasting the sales of these Athens desks here over the next few months. And it's saying, well, based upon your purchase performance and your inventory levels, right now, this is what your projected inventory numbers would be. So it's clear that you need to order something. So rather than going over and starting a new PO as a separate process, figuring out how many you want to order and do that, right from here, I can say create a purchase order for this. Based upon the date I pick, you see it's suggesting, Microsoft's suggesting here that I order 41. Now, obviously, there'd be some verifications that you'd want to do with that, but it's saying, look, that based upon what we're forecasted here over the next couple of months, we're recommending ordering 41, so you're ready to go. Your inventory levels are here, and it can bring in vendor delivery history and all that.
Matt, we did have another question that came in. Going back to the home page, how flexible is it to limit access to information based on user and their ability to drill down on
Good question. So your access is limited typically to the functional areas of the application. So if you didn't have access to invoices, for instance, but you had access to the general ledger, you can maybe see the GL impact of an invoice, but then you wouldn't necessarily be able to drill into and see the details of the invoice. And what you see on the home page, as far as the reports that are there and everything, that would again be limited to whether you can see the data behind it. Again, if you couldn't see customer history, as an example, you weren't given access to that area of it, then you wouldn't be able to see those reports either.
Thanks.
Okay, yep, no problem. So again, it was not only able to create a PO with the suggested quantity for me here, but it also said that, look, you're out of stock from other items that you usually buy from this vendor. So it's recognized that I can add them here, and based upon my reorder quantities or forecasts, depending upon how I set it up, it can prepare a suggested PO for me that I could tweak to get the exact levels that I'm looking for, especially until I've trusted the system's suggestions. Now, going back to the homepage and the various things that we often like to see from there, maybe you can't remember how to get to a certain area of the system. Navigation, if you haven't been anything in a while, you can use the search options up above here to find just about anything inside the system. So if I'm looking for projects, for instance, let's say I know that those are called jobs, and by typing in job, I see everything in the system, reports, windows, lists that have the word jobs in it. I'm just going to go to the high-level jobs list. And these are our project costing. It's available right out of the box with the system. So maybe we're remodeling our reception area. Open this up. And beyond what, it's not just a cost and revenue center here that you can track. It's a full-blown project costing side here in management, where you can create your different phases and tasks, have start and end dates for those, the types of tasks that are there, have budgets for each one of these tasks, and to see the budget to actuals on individual line items. And this is a great area to showcase some of the other help functions of the system. If you're at a job, you don't know what does blocked mean, but just highlighting over any field in the system, it gives you a tooltip with great information. So here I can see that blocked is where it's telling you whether or not you can post transactions for this. Kind of like making it inactive, but you might still be doing some work with this, but you just want to block posting transactions to this right now while things are being worked out. You can set that here, and that tooltip gives you that information. Or if you're looking for additional help, you go up to the help menu and just say get help, and it is contextual help. It knows that you're on the jobs page, so it's going to give you all the information and help on project management. You're creating a job, using timesheets and resources for job, managing budgets for your job. It truly is a contextual help. You don't have to navigate a separate help menu to try to find that information. And it gives you, high-level financial view on this side of your budgets overall with drilled out information. This one we haven't started yet, so we don't have actual costs or revenue for this yet necessarily, but we can start tracking that here. And this works both for if you're doing just like CIP tracking or other things, or true revenue generating projects as well. Now, seeing some of the other platform functionality of the system, let's say I go into dimensions. Now, for those of you that have been using GP for a while, dimensions would be similar to what we call the segments of the chart of accounts, but it uses a dimension, which makes it much easier to manage. So I have 3 dimensions, obviously 4 if you count my main account segment. I have departments, programs, and customer groups. Now, if I look at my programs here, highlight on that, and I want to see, my dimension values. Right now, I just have 3 programs. Maybe in this case, my programs are related to elder care, and maybe I wanted to expand that. You're adding a number of new programs this year, or just setting it up. I don't have to type in individually. I can click, not just export to Excel, but edit in Excel. And that launches an Excel file for me, which is a truly interactive Excel file. I'm not having to export information to Excel, then import information in Excel. As you'll see here, it utilizes a full Dynamics 365 app inside of Excel to allow me a two-way interface with Excel, between Excel and Business Central for this information. So it was blank when I first opened it up. Once it verified my login information and that I had access to the dimensions, it gave me this full list of our dimensions inside the system. And I'm just going to show adding a couple here, but I don't have to go back into the system, add it, and then refresh. I can add them right from here. So let's say I'm doing bus service for shopping. And yes, this will be standard. And this is going to be a program. And then maybe an after-school program as well. And when I'm done with this, and you see if I highlight on some of these, it's telling me that the values can only be true or false here. It's doing some true data validation at this time. Now when I'm done, I can hit publish. And when it's publishing, it's telling me publish successful workbook updated. That means that that information went back into the system. Now it takes it a minute or two to verify that everything's there, but let's see all the proper values and stuff. But now when I open that back up, I have my after school and my bus service. Now you might not necessarily use that for managing your dimensions, but that's available pretty much for any record inside the system. You can do journal entries that way. You can add, you can maintain a list of fixed assets that way. You obviously have to allow those things from a security perspective, but it gives you a full interface with Excel, not just an import, export, save files out in certain locations. It's truly interface between the two. And taking that Office integration a step further, I want to bring up my Outlook here. So here I'm in Microsoft Outlook. You see this is on my computer, installed Outlook, and here's my email right here. And I obviously set this up ahead of time, but from a different email account to me, a personal email, I sent a request saying, hello, Mr. Burkowski, we're rolling out TimeForce for the warehouse next month. Could you send us a quote for 7 more time clocks? Now, I don't have to then close out of this, go and check the quote and do everything right from there. I can click on this contact insights and say, yeah, I think I've heard of this person before, but it's been a while since I worked with them. And I can see that based upon that email address being associated with records in the system, that this is both a vendor for Arctic IT and a customer for Arctic IT. We do business with them in both ways. They're a customer of ours and a vendor of ours. And I say, well, this is a request for service here. So I look and I can see their current balance right in here. It's got a balance of $6,000, but it's not overdue. So far, they seem like a good customer. Yes, we can go ahead and we're willing to do more business with them. So right from here now, I can say, I want to create a new quote. Now, it has recognized, because I have time clocks, I have an item with the name time clock in it. And it says, okay, that you asked for time clocks. We're suggesting maybe they meant these iSolve time clocks and they wanted 7. I can look up different items, but if I say, yes, that is what I wanted, and hit OK, and it's going to bring up that quote right inside the system based upon my current price and everything that I have. Then maybe I say, okay, but I know that they're also going to need some consulting hours to help set those up. So I'll add hours, and it takes about an hour per clock. So that's 7 hours. It looks at the rate that we've got in there. It's checking for tax code, but we'll say that these are non-taxable because they're all in Alaska. And then right from here, I've created this quote, and I can say, all right, go ahead and send this by email. And it's going to email the quote back to the Borkhouse at Hotmail. And I'm ready to go. And now back inside of Business Central, that information is in here. It was doing it at the same time. It's creating that quote. So now I can see here's the quote for $6,300 that I just created based upon that email. I didn't have to leave email. I didn't have to look anything else up. It could auto suggest items and quantities based upon the email for true intelligence and speeding that up right from there. Now, just to show you the last feature here, I'm going to switch over very quickly and make my phone the presenter. So what you should see is it's saying screen mirroring map B. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up. Go back to my home screen here, and you'll see that I've got see my family, first of all, and then my Business Central app. When I launched the app, I has to refresh because it's been a while since I had logged in, that it is going to log into my Business Central environment right from here. And as you can see, it's a full-fledged app. I can see ongoing sales. For instance, I can click on sales quote, and I can see there's that sales quote that I had just submitted through my email and get the details right here. Or I can go back out if I've got a question about a PO while I'm talking to a vendor. I can look it up right here while I'm still on the phone, or if I'm in person with them especially. I can see, okay, I'm talking to the first up consultants, and we really needed those chairs. How are we doing on that? I could look down and say that we still have not received those chairs. We got 14 yet left to receive, 14 invoice. We got full functionality inside this app, including seeing those same dashboards that I saw while I was logged into the system, seeing my trial balances. I could drill down and see the actual accounts and transactions, balances. All that's available right here in the app, and really no other cloud application, ERP application, has full functionality securely available inside the app. All right, so as many of you now are probably running to the end of your time, we appreciate you spending that with us, and just wanted to quickly let you know that there are some other options right now from Microsoft. We talked about HR and payroll, that there's full functionality in finance and operations, just basic HR, no payroll in Business Central. There are options in the App Store already. Some of you might even use Timeforce. It might help you to support that. The company that creates Timeforce is called iSolved. They've got a great solution overall that embeds well with Business Central. And right now, while there's more becoming available often, that is a recommended third-party provider for Business Central users. And why migrate? Why now? Why might you want to consider this sooner rather than later? Just taking advantage of the modernized security to get faster, improve, and to increase your security options that are out there. And also doing now versus maybe doing it later, you can save some money. Microsoft, as I said earlier, is offering a 40% discount on those licenses until June of 2020 for current Dynamics users. And depending upon the timing of when you purchase that, you could potentially extend those savings a little bit longer. And they already have some migration tools available to help move data from GP and other legacy Dynamics systems into Dynamics 365. Well, I wanted to personally thank you all for attending. I'm sure time-wise, some of you may need to drop off right now, but I've got time to stay on for a little bit if there are other questions that folks have.
Thank you, Matt. That was a great presentation.
All right, terrific.
We'll give people a few minutes to see if they want to ask any questions.
All right.
Will this ultimately replace GP versions?
It's a good question. And no, I don't think that it's ultimately going to be just an automatic replacement that Microsoft starts dictating out to folks that are on GP. But again, we don't know what the supportability of GP is going to be beyond 2023 right now, which is still a long time. We see Microsoft probably extending that even further with new versions, but eventually I think Microsoft's R&D, their path forward, their modernization is on Dynamics 365. So I think that eventually for most customers, they'll get a point where there's just such great technology out there that they want to take advantage of that they just can't get with GP. And it'll be a natural move for folks. And I'm pretty sure that's Microsoft's hope as well, is that there's enough incentive to move where there will never be a need to have to force people to move.
Okay. Also, question that came in, when does GP 2015 support end?
GP 2015, that's a good question. I want to say it's maybe the end of 2019. I'm just pulling up this site just right on the fly here. GP 2015, July 14th, 2020 for 2015 R2. So that's still 2 years out.
Great. I don't see any more questions.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks again, Matt.
My pleasure. Bye, everybody.